Clase, one more thing that will be thrown around in this unit is hace with time expressions. Hace looks a whole lot like a conjugated form of hacer, but it has really nothing to do with hacer. So you can see hace with the present tense, and I have this slide in gray because it's not a main focus of this unit, but it is something that I do want you to write down and be aware of. So we use hace with the present tense to say how long someone has or has not been doing something, and it's a formula that goes like this. So if I wanted to say we have been studying Spanish for 3 years, or we haven't been studying Spanish for 3 years, this is how I would write this sentence. If you want to give it a try first to see if you're able to make a sentence following the formula, please do. But here is my explanation. So the first thing I need is hace. There's no other form that is possible. It's just hace. Then I need my time expression, which is 3 years in Español, 3 años. The next thing I need is que. And then I can have my subject if I need it, but as you know, if I'm about to use the present tense form of estudiar, if for nosotros, you know I don't need nosotros. Then if I want no, that's where it's going to go. And then my verb in the present tense of estudiar is estudiamos. And I need español. So our sentences are sort of flipped-flopped in English and in Spanish. I have the 3 years part over here at the end, and in Spanish it's at the beginning, but hace 3 años que no estudiamos español means we haven't been studying Spanish for 3 years. If I want to ask how long has someone been doing something or hasn't someone been doing something, here is how I phrase my sentence or my question. ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que? And then my verb phrase in the present tense. And of course, subjects go where in questions? At the end, or at least after the verb. So if I want to ask how long have you guys been studying Spanish or haven't you guys been studying Spanish, no matter what, I start with ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que? And if I want no, that's where it goes. And then my present tense form of estudiar for you guys is estudian español. And I do want my subject in this one because otherwise it could be they, so ustedes. And here is just a little crash course in hace with the present tense. But our main focus is going to be hace with the preterite tense and hacía with the imperfect tense. So let's go over these. You already have something like this in your notes, but let's just put these down again right here. This is used to say how long ago someone did something. And that makes sense because the preterite is used for completed past action. So we want to know how long ago. And it is your subject, preterite, verb phrase, hace, and time. So, or you can have hace time que, just like in our previous one, and then the verb. So the two examples of my mom retired 7 months ago would be like this. Mi mamá se jubiló hace 7 meses. This is matched after the first one. My subject is mi mamá. My preterite verb phrase is se jubiló. Retirement is one of our vocab words, jubilación, and to retire is jubilarse, so this is the preterite of that. Then hace 7 meses. If I wanted to do it this way, I would have hace, my time expression is 7 meses, que, and then my subject and preterite verb phrase, mi mamá se jubiló. If I wanted to ask how long ago did someone do something, again, this part's in gray because you do need to write it down, but it's not one of our main focuses. You would use this formula. ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que? Again, but this time my phrase goes in the preterite. So if I wanted to ask how long ago did your mom retire, I would have ¿Cuánto tiempo hace que? And then my preterite verb phrase, se jubiló. And my subject goes at the end, so tu mamá. So this is hace with the preterite tense. It's used to say how long ago someone did something. And if I want to talk about how long someone had or had not been doing something, I use hacía instead of hace, and I use the imperfect tense instead of the present or the preterite. So this is what we use to describe an action or event that began in the past and continued for some time because it was ongoing, which is why we use the imperfect. And you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. So let's practice. So if I want to say I had been studying Spanish for 2 weeks or I had not been studying Spanish for 2 weeks, let's try it this way. My subject, of course, I won't need it if it's yo, but I can have it go away. So yo, and then I need my imperfect tense of estudiar. That's where no would go if I wanted to end the sentence. And español. Then desde hacía is how we say for, and then my time expression 2 weeks would be 2 semanas. Or I could use hacía time K, like in the other ones where we could use hace time K. And if I wanted to say I hadn't been studying Spanish for 2 days when I traveled to Peru, this is what I would do. Have to start with hacía. My time expression this time is 2 days, so 2 días. K. My subject is yo, but of course I don't need it. If I want no, that's where it would go. And then estudiaba español. And this when I traveled to Peru part is in gray because this is now combining the preterite and the imperfect together, which is a little bit advanced. Not something we have to do, but we certainly can. So when I traveled to Peru, cuando I traveled, to travel is viajar. The preterite would be, if you said viaje, you're correct. And Peru in Spanish has an accent on the U. Let's try another example. If I wanted to say we hadn't been eating pizza for a week when we got sick, or we had been eating pizza for a week when we got sick, this is what we could do. We could start with hacía. Remember, it's hacía time K. And a week would be una semana K. Then if I want no, that's where it's going to go. And what's my imperfect form of comer for we? If you said comíamos, you're on the right track. And pizza. And when we got sick, that is a thing that happened, got sick. So we would need the preterite of the verb to get sick, which is enfermarse. So if you said cuando nos enfermamos, you were correct again. And if we wanted to ask how long had someone been doing something or hadn't been doing something, this is how we ask this. Again, it's cuánto tiempo. And instead of hace, this time it's hacía, K. And this time the verb is in the imperfect tense. So if we want to say, how long had you been studying when you graduated or hadn't been studying, we would start with cuánto tiempo, hacía, K. No, if we want it. Verb in the imperfect, the to form. If you said estudiabas, nice job. And when you graduated, cuando. That's you graduated, so we need the preterite next. You have in your vocab graduation, which is la graduación, and so the verb of to graduate is graduarse. So how would you conjugate that in the preterite? Te graduaste, and if you wanted the subject, which of course we don't need it here, but this is where it would go, tu. So, to sum all of this up, it's a lot of information, but it's important to know. But here's the main deal. If you don't get anything else out of this, this is what you need to know. If you see hace plus time, you should know that your two verb options from what we went through in our notes are either the present or the preterite. And if you see hacía with a time expression, you should know that that is the imperfect. So, you guys are going to be in this unit deciding between the preterite or the imperfect. And the big thing is if you see hace plus time, preterite. If you see hacía plus time, imperfect. You don't have to draw those ugly circles, but that is the main point. If you got nothing else out of this, Hace equals the preterite. Hacía equals the imperfect, which is real easy because hacía looks like the imperfect of hacer. Thank you again for taking your notes. Good job.